Hello, everyone. Hopefully, we start recording right then. Sadly, one of us doesn't have a webcam, so I'm just gonna put a picture of him in post, which hopefully you can see right now.
Hey.
So it's 7 months late, but we have all compiled our own top 10 lists of the Billboard 2019 year-end alternative chart. So we are going to go through those for you right now. Scoring system is pretty simple. If a song was number one on our personal list, that gets 10 points. If it was number two, it gets 9 points, blah, 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 blah. If there are ties, then any songs that multiple of us featured get higher on the list. If not, then I just pick the ones that were higher on the original alternative year-end 2019 list. All right. By the way, this is Thomas and this is Andy. Should have mentioned their name.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello, I'm waving.
I'm waving, but you can see me.
All right. So we're starting at number 16. We have the song "Choke" by I Don't Know How, but They Found Me.
Or lovingly shortened to it. Never mind. Yeah, this song was, I don't know, it was a surprise for me. One, because I never heard of the band before, and that's quite the name. But two, it kind of was a little unlike, well, a lot of what else I'd heard. It was sort of refreshing in a weird way, in that the song is kind of mean, but I kind of like that. Like lyrically, it's being a little mocking and a little savage toward whoever it's talking to, but it doesn't feel like, I don't know, the same sort of pettiness that turns me off of other songs. It feels maybe plenty petty, but in sort of a clever way. It's a little hard to describe in that regard. But couple that with some kind of kick-ass music, in my opinion, the guitars really do some work here, and it just makes quite the experience.
I think if I can cut in, I am actually reminded of another song from a while ago that reminds me of the same sort of thing you're talking about, which is I don't remember who does it, but it's the "Hope It Gives You Hell" song, where it's like, yeah, it's extraordinarily petty, but it's a hilarious song.
See, that one, I couldn't tell you the difference off the top of my head, but that one kind of bothers me. Whereas this one, I'm just like, yeah.
Positivity, Andy.
Well, that one's not on the list.
No.
Nice.
What position is on your list?
Oh, yeah, this is number 10 on my list, so it just barely scrapes on, but it was enough to keep me interested. Also, I guess a bit of affirmation for me, I found, sort of coincidentally, another song by the band that I also quite enjoy, called "Do It All the Time."
Yeah, I agree with I really dig especially the opening few notes, that really scuzzy guitar that comes in of like a Royal Blood or a Black Keys song that I'd actually like. I dig that.
Wait, you like a Black Keys song?
Occasionally they've got a riff that's nice.
Fair enough.
Lonely Boy's all right.
Yeah.
All
right. That was number 16. Number 15, we've got "The Hype" by 21 Pilots, which is number 10 on my list. This is one I struggled with a lot. There were about 4 different songs I was fighting for my number 10 position, including "Trampoline" by Shade, "You're Somebody Else" by Flora Cash. I can never remember their name. And this one ultimately won out because of the 3, it's the one that I think succeeds in what it's doing the best. And it's the one that the other 2 I remember liking more, but then I go back to actually listen to them, and I'm like, no, my memory is just giving me like red shaded goggles for these. They're not actually succeeding in the way I think they are. But this one, when I saw it being passed around, the comparison people made is that, it sounds very nice, it has a very 90s structure to it. Like, I don't know what that means. And then I went on Genius and people said, it sounds like Wonderwall. I was like, Oh, I get it now. Wonderwall, Losing
Yes.
My Religion, Ordinary World by Duran Duran. And once that kind of clicked, it started to go work for me, where
Wow, that
really dig sort of the sort of very muffled opening of it, the ukuleles, or if they're not ukuleles, they're kind of meant to sound like it. I really dig, this very sort of crowd pleasing, very persistent hook to it, and the song, which is structured around Tyler Joseph, sort of singing to a past version of himself in a way that feels very natural for them, I think. And even though it's still 21 Pilots, and I still will never care for his delivery, and I think he's a really boring performer, I do really like the bridge where it kind of ramps up with those ukuleles that come in, and he's just in a very blunt way, but I think his delivery really works with it. And I really like the outro of the song, which does go on a little long, but I really love these very cinematic violins that come in. And even if, again, 21 Pilots, the delivery doesn't work for me, I respect what they try to do lyrically, but it doesn't always work. I think musically they've really gotten a lot better over the years, and even songs, almost every song on the 2019 year on Billboard, one of which we'll get to later, all sound very nice at least. So yeah, it eventually won me out because I love Losing My Religion.
yeah. I have that other 21 Pilots song on my list, and this one I think probably could have made it on as well. It just had plenty of competition from other things. Maybe the reason I picked the other one and not this is, uh, well, the song was, how do I put this? I feel like I prefer 21 Pilots when they're a little bit weirder in like a good way.
I can hear that.
And this was, it sounded good. It was just a little too much like some other things.
I mean, I would take Jumpsuit over this any day, and that's them at their most weird. Any comments, Tommy?
I'd have to agree. Like, 21 Pilots is interesting for me. A very hit and miss. For a while, some years ago, I was of the opinion, oh, I just don't like them. And now it's more like, it's pretty like 50-50. Yeah, I have another one from this year on my list. But the hype, I don't know. It's not bad. I just couldn't really get into it. It just felt too like plain in a certain way compared to some of their other stuff that I really like. I was listening to it again, and it is actually a little bit more complex than I remembered it. But I don't know. I wasn't feeling it.
So
if that means anything.
We were a little over the hype, but it caught you.
Yeah. Well, I know this doesn't count for anything, but also literally because I also heard it on the radio thousands of times. But that's...
I try not to let that affect me because I've listened... There's plenty of things I hear a million times on the radio, and like some are good, some are bad. All right, number 4.
I don't listen to the radio.
Smart move, man.
I do have the privilege of most of these not being overplayed for me.
Yeah. So. Missed Connection by The Head and the Heart for number 14.
So this was number 10 on my list. And I don't know all that much by the band. I like a couple things. This and another one that I can't think of off the top of my head. I'm going to be honest, I mostly just put this on here for the sound. Like, it just, something about the, what do you call it? Like, the soft, high-pitched singing. Thank you. I don't know, it made it a little memorable for me. The, like, transition up and down in that, and something about the delivery. It's hard to explain exactly, but it stuck in my head enough that it made it on my list over some others. I don't know.
This one very easily could have been on my list as well. That's probably something I'm going to say repeatedly throughout this video because we have a lot of good songs here.
Yeah.
They're all pretty strong in their own way. But yes, this one, when I was listening to it again recently, I was almost feeling like, wait a minute, why didn't I pick this one? Because I like most of the song. I think the reason why I skipped this one is I think it's just the chorus. It's not that I don't like it. It's more that it's a bit of like it flattens out compared to the rest of the song. I feel like the chorus is a little one note or a little more boring than the rest, but still,
Yeah,
like everything around it, I
I
find
kind of know what
pretty
you're talking
good.
about.
The one thing I really like about it is there's like a 5 second point before the second chorus where there's like this the production gets all like crackly and kind of lo-fi and you hear like this
Ooh,
like piano playing. I'm like, that's kind of a cool effect.
Yeah, sorry, I've got on the background and I just went to that part. That is a really, really interesting just little inclusion. It's like a
Yeah.
break sort
Which
of
the
thing
rest of the song had
before
that
that.
kind of ambience to it.
Yeah.
All right. Number 13, we've got Dissolve by Abso Facto, I think is how you say the name. Abso Facto. So this is number 9 on my list. I always hate talking about electronic music because I don't know how to. With other, like,
Fair
I could
enough.
say with rock music, oh, I like the guitars, I like the drums. With electronic music, I'm like, I don't know how to describe these sounds. Like, you just kind of have to listen to it for yourself. But this song, which is like 4 years old and got big the past few years because TikTok controls everything about our culture,
Oh,
apparently.
really? Oh no.
Yeah. But I think this song has a very, very chill, very relaxed vibe, and I think it really comes into its own in the bridge, where you get like all these kind of cut up vocal samples. You get this very spiraling beat. Oh shoot, sorry, something popped up on my screen. Go away, iMusic or iTunes. I really love the sort of faded background vocals and the hook, especially. That again, and I think electronic music is really good at this because the song feels like it's dissolving and its character, with the way the vocals are kind of cut up, is dissolving himself in a pool. And there's this, very relaxed, just sort of letting all your worries go free vibe to it that, again, I think electronic music is good at, and I don't know how to describe it at all.
Yeah. I think you hit a lot of good points there. And I also kind of think that if I were to remake my list now, this might be on it somewhere. Um, I might have just skipped it earlier because I hadn't heard it very much, whereas some of my other ones I was a lot more familiar with. But yeah, listening to it and now it's kind of dreamy, and where it picks up into the chorus, it does sort of a move into falsetto and some tonal shift, and it's really nice.
I think it is an honorable mention for me as well. Was close to making it on my list. I'm actually surprised it didn't because you're right, it is a more comparatively electronically based song and into that electronica. I don't know. I think it was almost like too chilled and relaxed to catch my attention, I guess, which is weird because I mean, I like it. I guess it just didn't stick with me as much as some of the other ones that felt a little bit more unique. But
I can understand that. I guess it might be a song that I'm going to listen to more now because I
that's
could use some of that dissolved feeling. All right, what do we got next?
For 12, we have Fast Talk by
Oh,
I actually I think the artist is called Houses and the vocalist is Golden Dawn. I'm actually not
oh.
sure of this because I tried to look it up recently and like, oh, Houses and Golden Dawn. I'm like, who's Golden Dawn? But again, this is more of an electronic cut.
Oh,
Blake, I think we just lost audio on your side.
uh-oh.
All right.
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So what I like about this song is that it's got this again very dreamlike vibe, but even more so than Dissolve, it's a very dreary, very melancholic song. Where the song is about all his friends dying in LSD and what does the afterlife look like and what is it all for. I think the vibe really works where it's based on these twinkling pianos, these very melancholic acoustic guitars. I love the post chorus of this very like kind of muffled horn thing, as if like it just captures so much just space to it, and you just imagine like someone looking off in the distance, like what does this all mean? And my problem with it is that I don't think the singer's got the most charisma to him. I just think he's kind of flat. He kind of reminds me of like the Chainsmokers guys, where it's like you're okay, but I just think you've got a very just not a very unique vocal timbre, which is why kind of like later in the song you get like kind of those girlish female backing vocals that I think kind of work for texture. But for what it sets out to do, I think it succeeds at it, and I think it's a very unique song in that regard.
Yeah.
It's having an interesting sort of like ethereal quality to it, in the sense that it really does feel like, I don't know, floating in space or whatever. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I enjoy the sound of it. I think it's the kind of song that I can listen to in some moods, but in other moods it's a little difficult for me. It's a little slow and a little dreary, which when I'm looking for it, that would be perfect, but that's a situational thing. I do really enjoy some of the production on this, like the kind of muffled falsetto, like sort of background vocals overarching the chorus. I think that's a really nice touch. I do appreciate some of the more electronic portions of it. It's well, going back to like a mood song. I don't know why it reminded me of this, but to briefly bring up Oasis again, made me think like a little bit of Falling Down by Oasis. I don't know why, because I don't think any part of it sounds like it. I think it's more so the fact that like when I'm in the right state of mind, that's the right song for me. It's kind of how I feel about this.
One more production element I forgot to mention. I really like when the chorus starts, you get these really blocky like drum drop that comes in. I think that's a really good touch to give some sort of grounding to the song.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. Number 11, we have It Doesn't Matter Why by the Silver Sun Pickups.
I must be the only one who put this on. Where was this on my list? What? Sorry, it's not up here. This was my number 7, actually. I don't know what about it caught me so much. I remember liking stuff from Silver Sun Pickups in the past, and then we haven't had anything new from them as far as I'm aware for like a really long time. And then suddenly this one came around and it was on the radio for a good bit, and something about like the energy just got me. I know it's like lyrically and some of the sound is admittedly really repetitive, but something about just the fast drums in the background and the weird sort of like electronic strings that go high and stuff, and the vocals, even though not really saying much necessarily, but it feels like it's building up to something. I don't know. I just like the energy of it a lot. It's hard to say.
I'd have to agree. I really enjoy the strings in the song, and I kind of always enjoyed the vocals of the Silver Sun Pickups.
They've got
the rest of the song
sound,
just I think passed me by a little bit. It didn't stick as much, but it's still a fun listen.
Two things. One, for years, I always thought the lead singer of this band sounded like, do you remember who sang the original Ben 10 theme at all?
That's a callback. Very slightly,
they
yes.
have these like weirdly androgynous voices that always made me think of each other. And
Certainly.
the second thing is that there's the bridge of this song, where, as you mentioned, the violins really pick up. You get these constant drum fills. The vocals kind of pick up a little bit. Is really great. Like the 2:30 to 3-minute mark of this song, I really loved.
Yeah,
it's a sucker for violins in my rock music.
It's definitely one where I could see it has a potential to be annoying because it is. I think you noted sometimes it has a lot of drum fills and it can get repetitive. But once in a while, I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling it.
All right.
Yeah.
On to number 10. We have Bad Guy by Billie Eilish.
I mean, where do we start with this?
Start with what position it is on your list.
Oh, you're right. Hold on. Where? Oh. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong part. It's number 6 on my list.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm reading these numbers wrong. Yes. Number 6 on my list. I guess I feel a little bit like a casual now. It's probably one of the most explosively popular songs I'm aware of in the recent history of the universe.
It was number 4 on the 2019 Billboard year end for the pop charts.
Damn. Wow. Yeah. So, not to sound like I like things that other people like. No. But this song earns it. It's enough pop and kind of funky electronic to pique my interest. It's got those weird vocal effects that sound like she's singing into a fan. It's
You're right.
I don't know about unique, but it's sort of a fun perspective for the lyrics to be speaking from. It just comes together. The post-chorus musical portions are really snappy. It's hard to get out of my head. Good God, Seth Everman made a living room remake of it, and it was great. I can't find much to complain with this song, so I guess everyone has a point in liking it.
So yeah, sorry. We
got unlimited minutes.
Yeah, unfortunate. Oh boy. So I try to not put multiple songs by the same artist on my list because it'd be boring otherwise. I think it's sort of a challenge to be like, all right, which of these is better from this artist? And unfortunately, I think there's one on here from Billy that's better. But as you mentioned, there's all just these great sort of vocal manipulations, the post-chorus, very swerving drop, which she's really good at. The snaps, just this constant tight but very subtle bass line to it. Yeah, it's a great pop song. It's not one of her best, I think, because she's got others I think of more lyrical substance than this. But I mean, and also this song is just going to get absolutely ruined over the next few years in terms of every trailer, every AMV online, every Harley Quinn tribute video. This song is going to get butchered, not by radio overplay, but just by pop culture as a whole, I think.
I think you're absolutely correct about all of that. I have to agree. I do think she has better, and it's on this list even. But damn, do I enjoy listening to this song.
Yeah, I think it would have been on my list if it weren't for, I kind of have the same feeling. I don't want to put multiples of the same artist if it's only a 10 song list.
I have 2 songs by 2 artists.
You do, yeah.
It is, I mean, vast, or at least some majority of Eilish's work, it's just very unique. And yeah, I like it. I think I would agree. I don't think it's necessary, or let me say this right. I think she does have better. So in a certain sense, I'm almost surprised that this one blew up as much as it did, but maybe it's something about there's the appeal of, I'm the bad guy. I don't know. But yeah, honestly, I love the super low bass line of this song. It's just awesome.
All right. We reached the first song that multiple of us have on their lists. Number 9, we have Chlorine by 21 Pilots.
All right, where did I have this? Where do I have this? Oh, this is my number 8. Who else had this?
This is also my number 8.
All right, fair enough. Really, I actually thought you didn't like this song.
You did?
I don't know. Whatever.
Well, it's grown on me, I suppose.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I guess I mentioned before how 21 Pilots is really kind of hit and miss for me, and so I can't really explain why this one was a hit, other than just I don't know. A lot of the parts of it I find memorable. Like sorry, I'm got in the background. It's got a few cool like vocal. I'm trying to think of the word for it. It's almost like melismatic, if that means anything to anyone. How just be like a long note that goes all over and then like comes in with the chorus and stuff. I don't know. The sound I thought was so unique. The first time I ever heard it on the radio, I was like, what the heck is this? It was really worked for me. So I don't know.
That's 21 Pilots, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's another one where technically I like some other 21 Pilots songs more. They weren't on this list, of course, but this one did certainly do enough to catch my attention. It's got sort of the formula or characteristic of 21 Pilots that I enjoy, where it's the verses are, I think, a little more talkative, and then we slip into sort of a smooth chorus. Lyrically fascinating. Even just the main hook where it goes sipping on straight chlorine. I like the first few times kind of did a double take of like, wait a minute, did he just? Yeah. That could sound a little edgy, but here it's
Yeah,
classically 21 Pilots, I guess.
That goes for a lot of lyrics in this song. I'm realizing actually there is a whole lot of just edge to it, but somehow they made it work.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess the same sort of could be said for Choke by I don't know how, but they found me, and for both of those, it worked for me. So, yeah.
If this song was 3 minutes and 30 seconds long, I'd call it a masterpiece. But sadly, it's not. And it goes on longer than that, and as a result, I'm like, where's that? It's well.
Oh,
I do forget that it's over 5 minutes sometimes.
Like 5.5.
I'm more familiar with the radio cut. Actually, I forgot it has a whole segment at the end.
No wonder.
Which is,
I will say, Andy mentioned edginess. I do think this is better than Heathens, which is the song I think it's most similar to from them. I think this is vastly superior to that.
Interesting point. I like Heathens as well, but yeah, I think I'd have to pick this one over just a little bit because it's, I don't know, it feels more artistic in a certain way, if that means anything.
I still enjoy listening to Heathens here and there. It's a little bit of a cheap thrill, but it's kind of fun. But I do agree. This one I think is a little more complete.
All right, on to number 8, Superposition by Young the Giant. It's number 4 on my list. So every time we do this list, there's always one song that really surprises me. And last year, which we didn't record because I'm lazy and I didn't end up uploading it, it was Hunger by Florence and the Machine, which, it was an artist I already knew. They're all right. And I really love this one song from them. And that happened this year with this band who I knew of before, Cough Syrup and My Body are the 2 songs from them I know. And they have an album called Home of the Strange, which I always thought was a really arrogant title. I'm like, you're not strange, like at all. You're like one of the most middling bands I know. And then this song happens. I'm like, well, yeah, this is definitely strange with these like cacophonous drums, these, this mix of a piano with, if it's not a ukulele, it's certainly meant to sound like one. And then just this cushion of bass behind them. And I'm not usually a guy who's fond of like falsetto vocals, especially these sort of, very fey, very kind of whimpery ones. But I think they really fit here. And I think the song is just very awestruck and very wonderstruck. And in a way that I just didn't know this band was capable of. And just when it goes silent for a few seconds and then just all the instrumentation comes back for the hook, it just has such impact to it. It's not higher on my list because of a weird moment in the bridge where suddenly they bring in, like, instead of sort of the synthetic like sub bass they have, they put in like an actual bass line that's like really low, and
Yeah.
it just kind of takes me out of the vibe of the rest of the song. But otherwise, like, congrats, Young the Giant. I didn't know you had it in me to go, wow, that I never expected it, and it all totally works for me. Great job.
Actually forgot that this was Young the Giant. That is interesting. I don't know who I thought it was, but yeah, it's a very I guess a different sound than I'm used to from. I like it. I like this song a lot, but it didn't actually make it on my list. I don't know why. Maybe it got repetitive for me or something. I don't know.
I think this is another one that I'll probably listen to more going forward because I do enjoy the sound. And it's certainly fascinating. It's not really what I would expect from Young the Giant, but it does some interesting things. I enjoy the falsetto here through most of it. It's pretty interesting when it gets into the chorus and it's sort of falsetto plus not exactly chanting, but it's sort of broken up into the
Yeah, it's like he's panting the delivery.
yeah.
Which
So
normally would bug me, but I'm like, it kind of works with the melody, I think.
yeah.
If he did that the entire hook, it'd be a problem, but he kind of stops
yeah.
doing it in the final line of it.
Yeah. There's maybe a few points in here that aren't as strong or don't work as well for me. Like, I don't know exactly how to specify it, but a couple lines, I think, like right before the chorus or like just as it's going into the hook that are, I don't know, sound a little hokey to me or
It's
a little weird.
It's a very, like, using like science for love, which again, it's mostly here for the music. Not necessarily. I think the lyrics fit the vibe, but you're right. Some of them are just odd.
Yeah. So it's fascinating, and I like it, but not quite on my list.
All right. Speaking of something that is on your list, though, I hope I got that right.
Yes.
Nope, I was wrong. Wait, no. Yes, I was right. I'm just an idiot. Number 7, "Doing Time" by Lana Del Rey.
Yeah. Oh, Lana. This was another intriguing one. I guess to be fair, since this is a cover, I rather enjoyed the original song, so that's an innate plus. And then this cover does some interesting things with it. It's been a minute since I've compared them closely, so I may be wrong on some of the stuff, but this feels like it chills it down a little bit. I don't know if it changes the tempo, but
I think it does slow it down a little.
Okay,
bit.
yeah, that was kind of what I was getting. It feels a little slower and a little more flowy, which is an interesting take on this song. Plus, Lana Del Rey's sort of eternally ethereal sound makes for just a combo that works where I might not have expected it to on paper, but this sounds good. Also, I feel like this is a little more, I guess you could say, fun than some other Lana Del Rey songs, and I think it's a nice look. I like a lot of her other content as well, but this one I enjoy, like, casually.
You're very right in that, like, right? I think you said something along the lines of it's not something you'd expect to work, but it kind of does in a strange way. I never would have envisioned Lana Del Rey covering this song per se. I think I do like it. For some reason, I think I still like the original a bit better, but maybe it's just I'm used to the fast tempo nature of the song. It's what, Sublime originally?
Sublime's just the original,
yeah. I think it's some weird stuff, but I like it. Anyway.
So I disagree with basically almost everything both of you said.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because
Fair enough.
I really, and the other thing is that this, like both of you say you didn't expect this. This to me is a really obvious choice for Lana Del Rey
Huh.
because both these artists are, Southern California, palm trees, and even
Okay.
like
That's a good point.
because I actually do prefer this to the original because I really hate Sublime.
I was
But
going to ask about that.
when because I wasn't really familiar with the original, so when I first heard the Lana Del Rey cover, I was like, oh, maybe that that's sort of three notes or plinked melody that's the core, but maybe that's on a different instrument in the original. Like maybe that's kind of like a reggae, from like a guitar. Nope, it's also from a keyboard. I'm like, all right, so
Huh.
that was all right.
All right.
And for me, I'm probably gonna be negative because I can't be quiet about this. The bridge
You've
of
earned it.
this song is awful. Where
which part?
suddenly she said, like, I'm just gonna quote the full lines because
Go
it's so bad.
Wait a
I don't
minute.
care if you can hear my
Does she
keyboard 'cause I'm angry.
change some of the lyrics in this one?
What?
Does she change some of the lyrics in this one?
I don't think so, but both songs have this problem. I'm just gonna
I
read
gotcha.
this out loud. Evil. We've come to tell you that she's evil, most definitely. Evil, ornery, scandalous, and evil, most definitely. The tension, it's getting hotter. I'd like to hold her head underwater. Just no. Lana, and I don't like talking about Lana Del Rey because too many people have, but she's not untalented. She can't sell this without it just being totally unconvincing, and B, just written so over the top.
Agree, actually. It just feels a little overly dramatic, but I don't know.
And again, that's a problem in the original that I have with it too. So and that's why I always struggle with talking about covers because there's actually another one on this list as well. Not on this list, the original Billboard list. Positivity. I do like it more than the original, and it is just as maddeningly catchy, which just irritates me.
There is something weirdly enthralling about the sound of it.
Both this one and the original. There's just sort of this weird tonal disparity where it's not per se fully upbeat, but it's catchy, and then it's talking about these like kind of dark or murderous things.
And I think that's 100% intentional.
Oh yeah.
But the original doesn't work for me because it's like, all right, so you're setting up like a summertime, and then you spend the entire chorus talking about yourself. by name, talking about members of the band. You're like, all right, this is odd. It means I can't really relate to it if you use your own names like that.
See, I never researched that, and I think my innate calculation, or maybe what I was hoping for, was I don't know, some kind of like childhood or hometown like anecdotes, and these are just like random people whoever the speaker knew.
Bradley Noel is the lead singer of Sublime who died, and then Ross MG is like one of the rappers in the band.
Okay.
We've been negative for too long. At least I have. So,
All right. Well, we've done our time. Now on to 3 Nights.
Yeah. Number 6, 3 Nights by Dominic Fike, which is number 8 for me.
It was number 5 for me.
You have the floor.
I don't think I know anything else by this artist. I haven't.
No, this is like his first song, or like his first demos he released from prison, I believe.
Oh, really? I don't know what. Well, I don't know. Something about the song really just excites my ears somehow. I mean, part of it is I think I associate it with driving on the open freeway back from school late at night. I'm the only one around. It's just like
that's like the perfect place to listen to.
Yeah. So, and it's like such a distinct, and it comes on the radio. I'm just like, wow, I'm in the zone for this song.
I can see that being pretty transcendental.
A perfect feeling for it. So that definitely helps. But something about it too is just I like it a lot because it's got the sort of like low intensity guitar, I guess, in the background, and this sort of like softer, just sort of cruising lyrics, and then hang on, I'm going through parts of it. At certain parts, like I think it's the bridge, but other parts, like he suddenly gets like more intense and impassioned with his lyrics, which I think is a really interesting transition. That it's like it's a low sort of energy, just smooth song, but occasionally it jumps out at you with these things. It really stuck out to me.
So this is one that grew on me with time. It was kind of a late addition because I do have pretty big issues with it. The first being he just refuses to rhyme. Just absolutely refuses to rhyme. And I know that he's going for a very kind of sloppy, kind of free form flow, which I'm fine with. I think he actually does pretty well at that. But I'm like, just try to rhyme. Just try to rhyme. And I do think that as much as I think the sort of reggae instrumentation, the tempo of it works for the song very well. As you mentioned, I think it's a good driving song. I do think I wish there was kind of more texture, more kind of grit or melancholy to it. But what the song does really well, I think in that it paints a picture very well. Like the hook is just a few lines, but so perfectly paints a picture of a dude who's just locked himself in a hotel somewhere in Florida and is just losing his mind, like from isolation. And I like the progression of it from, it just starts out as kind of friends with benefits. And then, he actually wants a real relationship, but the other person in the equation doesn't really want it. So as you mentioned, the flow gets like really angry, really intense. And he's like just trying to get himself to not think about this relationship. And I love the transition to the hook on both the first and second verse is flawless.
Absolutely, yeah. I love the flow.
Yeah, the flow is really good. And I think this is one that made my list mostly on a lyrical level. I think it does a really great job at that. And I think it does. It's funny we talk about this song right after Doing Time, because I think it does what that song is trying to do better personally.
Yeah, this is a song that I think is currently growing on me, because you both bring up some good points that I now recognize, and I think I'm going to give this one another shot. I can really see this as a driving song now. It sounds good. It has a nice flow. I like those kind of reggae vibes. I think they fit really well here, and also the variation in like lyrical delivery. A lot of it's pretty smooth, and I think it's the bridge. It kind of jumps up in pace really fast, and it keeps it interesting and fresh. To a degree, I think some of why I didn't make it on my list is parts of it are like, for me, I feel like I end up kind of listening more shallow and just kind of gliding over it because it's a little bit of the same sound. And with that, I think it touches some of the lyrics as well, where sometimes it almost feels a little bit like mumbling, or maybe that's just how I perceive it. And that kind of like, I start to space out and lose connection there.
It doesn't modulate musically very much.
Yeah.
I can see why it might just skip past you because of that.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. So I think I am going to give it another try.
All right, on to, I think the final five are all stuff that all three of us put. All right, so number 5, Still Feel by Half Alive, which is my number 5.
That is my number 2.
It's my number 9.
Andy?
I still feel the song to make, the worst, most easily available pun, but it's true. There aren't a lot of songs per se on the radio that I will enjoy there and then go on to later repeatedly like look up on my YouTube and listen to in casual sitting. Just because, I don't know, I have my own whatever library that I go to there. But this song has certainly caught my attention, and I don't know how many times, but a good handful over even the months since we made this list, I will actively seek out this song and just vibe to it. It's some funky combo of like I'm not even sure what genre to call it precisely. Um, it's got those kind of like alternative band vibes, with a little more that's okay. Correct me if I'm wrong in some of these genres, but like a little bit synth pop or I don't know about pop, but yeah, the lyrics are fascinating. I love the pace of it. The flow really works for it. Um, I feel like I'm there when I'm listening to the song. And then even I know this doesn't really count for reviewing the music itself, but I like the video they've put with it. It's
Yeah.
got a lot of color and a lot of like funky choreography, and I think it's just right.
And I don't know if it is shot in one take, but it's edited to look like it's done in
Oh, it
one
definitely does
take.
look
I
like
don't
it.
I don't know if it is or not, but
Yeah.
it is impressive on that level.
It's just really well put together for me.
Yeah, this is one that like is so close to being like excellent in my book because it's got just this incredibly tight groove, these quivering synthesizers. The lead singer, whose name I still don't know, just has this just instantly just composure and this charisma to him. Even though he's not a particular like
Mhm.
attention grabbing stuff, he's just so controlled and tight even when he's talking about nervousness and being lost in space and stuff. And the song just keeps building and adding stuff. And when we first
Yeah.
talked about it, I initially was kind of critical of the hook where it kind of slows down, you get like a bass drop in there, but I actually
Yeah.
think it really works because it sort of the way the drums topple over themselves I think actually works into the hook very well. And yeah, because the song is very much kind of a exists in a post Feel It Still world, and I do prefer this, but it's got the opposite problem of
Yeah.
Feel It Still, where Feel It Still I think is too short. This song I think goes on like 30 seconds too long, where it wants to do this big band kind of ending. I understand that, but I just think
Yeah.
it kind of gets suffocating when before it was very open and everything was very noticeable, and the horns
Yeah.
just kind of overpower everything. But before that, the first 3 minutes and 30 seconds are just great sort of spacey funk rock that I don't really hear from anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This manages to do the rather unique thing of going from a sound that's like really airy and like it says kind of out in space to suddenly like falling back onto the impact of when the bass hits in the chorus, and then
Yeah.
it like steamrolls from there. I don't know how it does it, but it works. I feel like that's the kind of thing that I would criticize in other songs, but here it's just what I like.
One that I'm actually surprised. I do like it, but I'm in a weird way surprised I don't like it more than I do for some reason. I guess like it's I don't know, something about it is like almost I can't tell if it's supposed to be like groovy or like parts of it are sort of like grungy electro and parts of it are like I don't know how to describe it. Like because listening to it again, I like all the individual parts of it pretty well. I guess it's just something about how it comes together. I don't know if it's the tempo or just the specific combination of these like
Yeah,
low sort
it
of
is
electronic
juggling a lot of
tones.
different styles.
Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, it's I still like it enough to put it on my list overall. So
It's
basically,
sort of
what you
like
guys said.
time for a weird analogy. It's sort of like if The Man by the Killers were collided with like early Dead Mouse.
It's not a bad comparison.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, on to number 4. We have Social Cues by Cage the Elephant. This is my number 2.
Really? Where did I put this? This is
This
my number
is
6.
Number 7 for me.
so Cage the Elephant have the record for the most number 1 on the alternative charts in the 2010s. In the 2000s,
Nice.
it's Linkin Park, which is a hilarious example of how different these 2 decades are for this chart. And before this song, there's plenty of Cage the Elephant I like, but none that I could ever say that I loved. I like Back Against the Wall. I like In One Ear. I like what's the one with the video that's really good? Shake Me Down, which again the video is kind of better than the song, but I do like the song. And so I was like, they're good. I can't say I think they're great, but
Sorry, I'm doing some math real quick, and it's
yeah, I fucked up the rankings actually. Whoops. All right, so anyways,
good.
so because it's another Caged Elephant song. So one of the things, so this song really works for me. I did never expected it from them. It's this very kind of 80s, very exotic, tons of like glittering synthesizers, this constant
Yeah.
bass line, this constant very drippy guitar. And it's about the lead singer's sort of anxiety and, stage fright. And the hook, I think, really perfectly captures that. And it's insanely catchy. But the moment of this song that really like drove it home, made me call it great, is in the post chorus, where the lead singer is going to go, people always say, man, at least you're on the radio. And then he
Yeah.
repeats it to himself, or at least you're on the radio. Now, the intention of the song is that the repetition of at least you're on the radio is supposed to represent other people telling it to him. You
Mhm.
have success. Why are you still feeling this way? And I think that works, but I think it could also be interpreted in a couple different ways as well. It could be him sort of repeating at least you're on the radio to yourself in a, I can build, at least you're on the radio, you have the success, you can build yourself up for that. Or it could be him saying it to it in kind of a mocking way. He's like sarcastically saying it to kind of mock the people who tell him that. Like, duh, success does not guarantee that you're happy. I mean, look at all,
Yeah.
look at Anthony Bourdain, look at Chester Bennington, like,
Mhm.
look at Kurt Cobain. Success does not guarantee, mental, I do agree that like money can buy you happiness, but I don't think it's a guarantee of it. And I think this song, with the way that's structured, really shows that, like, and it shows kind of the minds of the people who I think are well intentioned in saying that, like, at least you're on the radio. Like in their mind, they're like, duh, this should help you, but it doesn't. I think this song really captures that.
Yeah, in a like crazy way, I would call it a very almost beautiful representation of a complete mental breakdown. Almost, it kind of sort of, but yeah, it's weird because it's so like catchy and sort of upbeat, and it's all about being like stressed and like unsure or like not necessarily unsatisfied, but like it's kind of like, yeah, he's achieved. Oh, I'm on the radio, but like like what you were saying, that doesn't guarantee that life's going to be all happy go lucky. It's like complicated. I just really love the line, and it kind of goes into like a little falsetto that sort of goes in steps where it says, "I don't know if it is right to live this way." It's just really fascinating to me because it's kind of like combined with what you said, the post chorus where it's repeating at least you're on the radio. It's sort of like the idea like everything should be perfect now that they've achieved this, but somehow it's not. And it's something about that. It's just really interesting to me.
The song manages to, well, it delivers the perspective of, somebody who's on the radio from somebody who's on the radio by virtue of being in the band. And then it still feels novel. So somehow, despite that sort of being like, well, of course, um, this either feels like more honest or has a better narrative or something than some other songs that have maybe tried to do the same thing. But yeah, there's a certain melancholy or maybe bitterness that kind of suffuses the whole thing, despite it having like a pretty catchy beat to it and being like, it's not slow, and it's kind of getting into these heavy things, and it's quite an interesting take on it.
Yeah, I think, it's the beat is bouncy, but it's also very like anxious and nervous, I
Yeah.
think. It captures that very well. Just this constant just movement to it.
Yeah.
So I forgot, I miscounted. So one song that's on both of your lists, and the reason I thought of it is because it's by Cage the Elephant. So
Yeah.
who should have been number 6 on this? So whoops, fucked everything up. Is "Ready to Let Go" by Cage the Elephant.
Oh, I
Hey,
totally
dope feature.
was not paying attention when we skipped over that.
This one's number 3 on my list.
Where did I put this?
You put it at number 6.
Number 4.
Nope, that's the other one. You have it. Yeah.
Yeah, you good.
All right. This is a bit of a different take on Cage the Elephant, where this one I feel like is more direct and a little more aggressive, but in sort of, it captures a mood that I think is very, very human, of just kind of like having done your best and being just very done with something. And in a song that's invigorating in a certain way. Combine that with it's not really folksy, but it's kind of like
Bluesy is how I put it, like blues rock.
I think that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. In that sort of tone, it feels justified, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's I think it's maybe I have to look at the lyrics again, but I think it's technically about like a relationship falling apart.
Yeah, his marriage.
But it does kind of, I guess, kind of like what you described, feel like it can sort of apply to even a greater range of things. Just a sense of, well, yeah, what you said, the feeling when you finally know that you've done everything in your power and it's not going to work, so you're just hands off. It's almost like a relief because you don't have to try anymore because it's not even something you can do. That's weird to say and kind of tragic in relation to a relationship. Words.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something about it's got an interesting feel and appeal in that sense.
I think even that context maybe makes it even just slightly more powerful of like this, marriage or relationship. It's ideally what you're supposed to be committed to. You can't just quit, but I mean, this isn't exactly quitting. This is just, this has to be the end of it.
It's a form of acceptance, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've a lot of songs about relationships ending very much are about one incident kind of ended it, and I don't think that's how life is. I think life is it just gradually things fall away. It's not something. It's kind of imperceptible, and I think this song captures that. Similar to another song I really love, which is "You Don't Get Me High Anymore" by Pentagram. Also captures that. Again, it's just a gradual thing of relationships just burn out and it's no one's fault. This is one that would have made my list pretty low if I didn't have the rule, because I do think Social Cues is better, because as you both are saying, I think the writing is really good and using metaphors around Pompeii, which is where he visited with his wife, and I really love the very dramatic sort of piano staccato piano that comes in. I think the melody of the hook's really good, but I still think Social Cues is overall a better song. But I do, again, another Cage the Elephant song that I call good to throw on the pile.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Hopping back to our proper
all right,
place.
so all the numbers are fucked up because I forgot Ready to Let Go. Whoops. All right, this one isn't though. Number 3, Northern Lights by not Cage the Elephant. Oh my god. Death Cab for Cutie.
Death Cab for
Cutie. This is my number 6.
This is my number 3.
No, it's not. Is it? Holy
on my
crap,
list
I didn't realize it was that
This is
high.
my number 5. Found it.
All right, Tommy.
Yeah, so I think I don't remember what songs were in previous lists, but I'm pretty sure there's been something from Death Cab for Cutie there before. And so I've probably expressed my point about, for some reason or other, I just love practically everything they do, except for, that's ironic because I think the last one was one that I actually didn't care as much about. But anyway,
Oh, Gold Rush was.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Which is still not bad, but I like their other stuff better. I just something about their sound and the way they produce and deliver their music just always appeals to me. I forget what this song is actually about. I'm not gonna lie, because it's been a while
I'll
since I've
catch you up
listened
on that.
It's actually
Yes, thank
not
you.
that dissimilar from Ready to Let Go again. I think it's kind of about well, I guess it's kind of the opposite. That's sort of like a critique of like suburbia and like sort of the sort of on you of that, and then trying to find like an escape from that with someone else and trying to hold on to kind of memories of that.
Yeah. It gave me vibes. I don't know if this is what it was directly talking about, but it made me feel like the speaker was like either reminiscing or lamenting about their hometown and how it's changed or something going on there.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I think I do remember.
I think it's intentionally a little oblique, but yeah.
Yeah. Death Cab for Cutie. I kind of agree with what Thomas was saying. There's not much by this band that I don't like, at least to some degree. I kind of feel like, well, maybe it's just because, their big one, I'll Follow You Into the Dark. This band feels a little like beyond mortality to me, if that makes any sense at all. They have this sort of atmospheric, almost like ghostly presence to them, while still somehow kind of being down to earth. It's hard to describe, but I like.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's hard to actually describe the sensation.
I like the production on this. It's another one where the chorus just kind of feels like you're drifting in a free fall or among the clouds. It's
Literally about the Northern Lights.
Yeah, there you go. It's soothing and pleasant in a way for me. And so are a lot of Death Cab for Cutie songs, which is especially fascinating because sometimes they're about some dark or sad things.
So my experience with Death Cab for Cutie is not as positive as you guys. Earlier this year I listened to Transatlanticism. I can never pronounce it. And I came like Andy said, I think their production is beautiful. But I feel the same way as I do a lot of National's more recent stuff where I'm like, it's just so just like mature to the point of being boring. Like I just it just doesn't ignite like I want it to. And this song has that problem as well, where I'm like, I really want like a melody to really stick out to me more, or a riff that really comes home. Kind of how you guys feel about Dissolve to some extent. But I dig the sentiment of it a lot. Again, the production's great. It always is with this band. The female vocalist on the song, who's actually from Churches.
Oh, really?
Band.
Nice.
Yep, I just learned that in the past few days. I think she really adds to that to the chorus a lot. Again, just about just the malaise of suburbia, because there's a line about like the static of TVs or something like that, and just holding on to memories with this person to kind of bring you through it. So yeah, I think it really brings that sentiment home. Love the production. Love this sort of throwback to like 80s kind of jangle pop or goth rock, even though not really call it goth. Sort of the melodies of that stuff. I do like it. Wish I could love it.
I think you've made me remember like something that seems a little unique in Death Cab for Cutie to me, which is they managed to take a lot of kind of mundane things, just like things that the speaker sees or interacts with, just like very everyday objects, and somehow like defamiliarize them and give you either a new perspective or make you remember about them, and it's fascinating.
That's true. Yeah, there was a contemplation I had a little while ago just on some of their music, how they do it. I won't talk long on this because it's kind of not relevant so much to the song, but yeah, they do a fascinating thing where they'll just take seemingly mundane things and somehow turn it into either a new perspective or a new like take on something, or just add meaning where normally there wouldn't be. Like, I mean, yeah, I will follow you into the dark. That's some easy ones to remember, and yeah, it talks about soles of shoes and stuff, but that has so much meaning to it. Just I like their approach to that.
Yeah, same in Soul Meets Body.
Yeah. But anyway,
I like Ghost of Beverly Drive, which is
it's another good one.
in
Yeah.
structure. All right, on to number 2. We have Alligator by Of Monsters and Men, which is my number 3.
This was my number 2, actually.
For me, this is number 9.
Tommy?
Yeah. Have we? I'm trying to remember. Was this another one of the case of like we hadn't had music from them in a bit of a while, right?
Yeah, like 5 years. I want it 5 or 4 years.
And so Of Monsters and Men is another one where I don't necessarily know as much of their music, but I really just kind of like everything I do know by them. They've just always had a fascinating sound to me, and I don't know. I just really vibed with some.
Throws all that out the window.
Oh yeah, I know. But anyway, this was a totally different sound for them, and it's not one that I would have expected them to approach, because it is more like not necessarily like hardcore or fast paced or whatever, but it's got more of that jamming guitar in it and whatever. But I feel like they pulled it off, and I like the sound of this a lot too, and it was a pleasant surprise. So, yeah.
Yeah, so because these guys came up in the wake of that, the term is the stomp folk movement, I guess. Monkey and Sons are obviously the big one, but they I always thought were kind of the most interesting of these groups that came up because dual vocalists, one male, one female. This song only features the female vocalist, and they just had this. They had a lot of chamber pop influence as well, so they were very cold and very eerie, but they could still, be hugely anthemic as well, with obviously Little Talks, which I love. I prefer the second album to the first album because I think the first one's just a little kind of dry in spots. Second album I really love. Empire is amazing. So then this song comes around, as you mentioned, they took a few years off and they had a big change in sound. The only song of theirs I can think of is similar to this. I believe it's called like Thousand Eyes, which has the end of it is just these walls of guitar that just come up, which is kind of what this song's going for. But yeah, this song is just blistering. It's like the heaviest thing I've ever heard on this chart since like Jumpsuit, I guess. And even that, this might be more intense. Just the guitars just crackle and gurgle with so much power. The drums are just super heavy and just again blistering. Everything is like super compressed. The vocals are like on the edge of just breaking apart totally and super loud. But I think it really works. I think it really revels in that intensity, and it captures the feeling of fever dreaming where everything is just so vivid and so intense, and you don't know, and everything just feels like it's falling apart at the same time. I do think the song is like, because I reviewed the album it's the first song on it, which is a really good choice, I think. I do, and as a result of that, it makes sense that the song's kind of shorter because there is no bridge. I think it's under 3 minutes. And I wish there was like a bridge to really sell this home and a final hook. But for what it is, like, there's nothing else like it on here, like anything else I can think of. This sort of blistering psychedelic garage rock, I guess you'd say is what it is. But I love it. And it's a shame that the album it's from is just okay.
Heard most of the rest of it, but I'll have to take a look.
This was a wonderful surprise for me. And I didn't actually know that it was by Of Monsters and Men until I looked it up for this video. Back like several months ago, but
more than several months at this point.
Fair enough. Of Monsters and Men is kind of an interesting case for me. I loved the first handful of songs I heard from them. I think it was like you were saying around when we were kind of coming off the stomp folk, and then, I don't know, something weird happened either with me or with the band, probably with me, where I guess I just started to feel like either a lot of it started to sound similar, or maybe I was just a little over the Monsters and Men vibe. So there's probably a fair amount of them I
Why
haven't
they
heard.
changed so much.
Yeah. But then this one comes in and I'm just sort of awestruck. I didn't know that they could make this kind of sound. And I think you've probably said most of it already, but yeah, the guitars, the energy, it's just kind of a song that like attacks without relent, but in sort of a joyful way. It's fun and it's energizing.
So on to number one, because we're all predictable fucks.
Hey.
Bury a Friend by Billie Eilish, my number one.
Also my number one.
I'm relatively sure. Yeah, it was my number one.
Yeah, it's your number one. Jeez, we're just predictable as all hell, I guess. So again, I love Billie Eilish, love the first full-length album, technically. This is very close to her best. It's this, I Love You, and When the Party's Over, I'd put it there. But this song just, it much like Still Feel, it just packs in so many great moments. Just so many creeping the hell out of you, where you get the sound of like a stapler and like shattered glass. You got a drill sound in the background. The entire second verse for me is just horrifying, where the you get the pitch shifted vocals from what's his face, his name's something, Mecky Rain, I think is his name. I want to get his name right. But, you get the pitch shifted vocals, the song just stopped and starting, then it starts up again. You get that like sort of wearing side to side melody that she does, that again, and I really love that, with all this said, the song is just so maniacally catchy still, even though it's just so low key and so like structured in such an odd way. The hook still works so well.
This song is theater to me. It does things that I didn't know were allowed in a song. It uses sound effects. Yeah, it does all those vocal effects, the starting and stopping, the eeriness of everything. It's somehow more than music. It's an experience, and it's enthralling and spooky, and at the same time it is really catchy. I feel like statistically I've probably listened to Bad Guy more, partly because it's probably around more, and I don't know, it's a little bit more, like your popular pop catchy riff, whatever. But this one fascinates me in ways that maybe no other song has.
Yeah, I the first time I heard it ever was on the radio, and I came in like halfway in or something, and for the longest time I didn't realize it was actually a song, because I just didn't know what it was, because we had all these sound effects happening, and it was almost like, I don't know if this is music or is it just like under like low tonal stuff, whatever. But yeah, it's enthralling, just because I really can't think of anything quite like it. And I think describing it as theater is accurate, because it really like it's like you don't just hear it, you like experience it, which I know is kind of hokey to say, but like, yeah, I don't know. You said most of it already, but it's just really captivating.
Craftsmanship to the song, where everything, even though, as you mentioned, like there's so many sounds, it's all still so tightly controlled, because it's still rooted in that very subtle tapping percussion, that muffled scream that comes in. Like the song still has structure to it, even with all just as you mentioned, just the sound effects to it. And like I can't imagine coming into it halfway through as you did when you first like, what the hell is
it's
this?
Absolutely like a controlled chaos sort of thing. It's like they've shaped an explosion of something into a really captivating song. It's really great. I really, really like Billie Eilish, and yeah, like I said, or like you said, there's a lot of good stuff from her first album. I know I like Billie Eilish. Well, yeah, of course you do. But yeah, I don't know. There's just so many interesting ones that she's made, and it's like, well, we get the obvious popular ones on the radio, but I'm
Yeah,
just
bad.
like,
Of course, Bad Guy was.
yeah, of course. And
I'm really shocked she turned this into a hit at all, because it is.
me too. Yeah,
This
this
is
is
nightmarish, and
Yeah.
exactly. This is one I never actually would have expected would be one of her popular ones, just because it seems like, oh, you know, the average consumer of radio is not going to be prepared to be hit by this. But I guess in a way I am glad, because it's so like strange and interesting that maybe it will get more people to actually check out the rest of her stuff.
Bury a Friend is here's a bad take. Bury a Friend is the more serious, more intentional radio version of Shia LaBeouf by Rob Cantor.
God, I was wondering where this was going.
Yeah, deep into the woods.
A little different, but I think I see what you're saying there.
It deserves a better description than that. I'm just joking here.
I still love it. I'm still not sick of it. There's a chance I'll get sick of Bad Guy soon. I will never get sick of this song.
Bad Guy, I
did
did start having to change the channel on the radio just because, like, all right, I love it, but boy, I cannot take this anymore.
I don't think it rewards additional listens the way this song does either.
Yeah, exactly. Bury a Friend is still, every time I'm like, all right, yeah, we're doing this.
Well, so what did you think of this, the 2019 year-end list overall?
Overall, well, at least the kind of snapshot look into the music world that I've got from it, I thought it was a pretty strong year, and I had a number of very pleasant surprises that stick with me even now. So I've discovered maybe a few favorite songs from here.
There was, I guess, like, there's a fair portion of the list that, for one reason or another, I'm just sort of about, but I guess I just have very specific tastes. I would agree. There were a good few that were genuine, pleasant surprises. But it just either came out of nowhere or I just would have never expected. And a few that, honestly, I don't understand.
Oh, yeah. I'm fairly sure I'd have a word or two if we were to do a worst of list, but
I don't usually do worst lists with you two, because you two can't really muster up the same, I'd say.
Oh, I'm too nice.
Yeah, and also, like,
I'd take another crack at it now.
I mean, I'd love to do a worst list about this one, but I also think that you two tend to, and this is totally understandable, you two tend to pick the ones that overplay is kind of ruined for you as well.
I've tried to step away from that, but
that's
it's
what
hard,
happened last time when we did the list last year,
yeah.
which is totally understandable. Because, again, most of these are ones that you guys probably have only listened to once or twice, and the ones that you listen to more than that are obviously you're gonna have more thoughts on.
It's
but you're
hard
right.
To be fair when you've been psychologically blasted with a certain song.
It is kind of like rating an Amazon order based on the delivery. It's not like fair to the actual song. So, yeah, I'd be willing to give it a try and avoid doing that.
Maybe we've matured since then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our list. After this is done, I'll be sure to have it on the screen right after, so you can actually see all our scores and see the correct scores, because I fucked up. See you next time. Hopefully I have another one by the end of the summer. See you next time then. Bye.
I'm waiting.
Can't wait for more good music. Bye.